I'm really excited about Searing Vengeance. It's one of the one of the few capstones I think is potentially fun enough for me to want to get there,
Even if it's not good.
even if it's not good. Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is another. What is it?
It's still Warlock Wednesday.
Warlock Wednesday. Today we are going to talk about the Warlock subclass, Celestial.
Yeah. These are
Celestial Warlock.
good warlocks. Warlocks who don't worship the devil, but instead worship like one random angel or a really powerful unicorn. Kieran, maybe. Something
right.
fancy.
So good as in not evil, not as in
Yes.
not a great subclass.
I don't hate this one actually. I
No?
think this is a fine little supportive warlock direction to go that it takes it's a little bit to digest so to get at the feel of how this plays at the table, but it does do a lot of novel things that'll make you feel like your base warlock toolkit plays well as a supportive cleric style character. I think this is honestly a little gem of a subclass that's not like overtly powerful, but especially if you're taking like 3 to 5 levels in warlock, taking them here is a fine place to do it.
All right, well, I guess we'll start off with the spell list.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's where I was first unimpressed.
Yeah, so the first level expanded level spell list for Warlock matters a lot because their base spell list isn't great, and you also always want to consider what your upcasts look like because you have to cast with your highest level spell slots when you're casting 4th through 5th level slots because that's how pack magic works. This list gives you Cure Wounds, which you should never, ever put on this character sheet. Literally ever. It actually doesn't have text for you because you have a way better feature, and there's no reason to put that feature and this on your character sheet ever. You just don't need it. It's way ghoulish overkill. Don't put your wounds on character sheets. Great, got the cover. The other option to get those Guiding Bolt. I'm not usually that high on attack roll based spells that cost resources. That being said, this is a 46 radiant damage supportive spell, so you'll fire off a Guiding Bolt, hit something for a good chunk of damage, give somebody advantage on attack roll. That's a cute little play pattern. It does upcast-ish, but for levels 1 and 2, I really don't think you're going to hate having Guiding Bolt on your sheet as a Celestial Warlock. You'll probably stop casting it once you get 2nd level spells, but it will help in the early game give you a big explosive burst of damage that will play well alongside the other things that you're likely going to be doing as a low-tier Warlock. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's great, and again, you're not going to cast it later, but...
I like Guiding Bolt.
Yeah, it's hard to justify when you only have 2 slots, right? To be like one of those Guiding Bolt. But whenever it's everyone in the party only has 2 or 3 slots, it's suddenly a lot less painful. 2nd level, we once again have an option you should never ever pick. That's Lesser Restoration, but we do another option that's kind of interesting, and it's Flaming Sphere. And Flaming Sphere I like a lot on this archetype specifically because it's got a long duration and gives you a bonus action to throw a sphere around to beat things up with. That you can do while you're Eldritch Blasting, that you can do while you're weapon attacking, that you can do while you're doing other things as a Celestial Warlock. It does upcast, do a bonus d6 damage on hit whenever you get it. So you like bonus or action set this up. Bonus action hit something with it every single turn for the rest of the fight while firing off bolts. It's a cute little supportive play pattern to have access to that I think can be honestly kind of fine. It's never going to be overtly super powerful, but as a spell goes for a Warlock spell list, Flaming Sphere is not the worst choice you could make.
No, yeah, and I hadn't thought about the particular considerations for Warlock, but yeah, it's got some duration, levels up nicely. Good.
None of it's like, we haven't talked about anything overtly like super powerful. What I do think is worth mentioning that can be super powerful is Revivify. So getting Revivify on a Warlock means you have short rest spell slots attached to reviving creatures. And whenever your base play pattern is, I set up a long duration concentration spell anyway, you can often have one of these banked just because they're really limited anyway. So you'll be like, all right, I conjure my Fae, and then I've got that as my spell that I'm running around using those things with. Revivify just being on your sheet is kind of an additional boon that you just now have access to. It also is in this weird instance now where I'm going to talk about a spell that I normally refer to as being action uncastable. Having a Warlock with Revivify makes Gentle Repose an actual consideration for other characters because you can always get this back on short rest, and they can just put someone on ice with a Gentle Repose, and then you can Revivify them after the fact using the short rest play pattern.
Oh,
now,
that's true.
That is something that isn't particularly compelling, but it is a small little additional upside where it's like, oh, I'm a cleric, I prepared this because I have a longer list than I need to prepare. I have a 2nd level spell slot bank, but I don't have a 3rd. I will use my Regret General Repose here so the Warlock and Revivify them. That way I don't feel bad using my 3rd level slots. Niche, but I think important to note, worthy to mention. It also, again, if you dip out past 5th level, having a short rest spell slot that can Revivify somebody is genuinely valuable.
I noticed you haven't talked about Daylight.
Daylight's whatever. It's a big burst of light. It doesn't blind anybody. It's a glorified enormous torch. Once again, we're seeing a pattern. One should go on your sheet, one shouldn't. This one shouldn't.
Yes. All right.
Level 4 options
Level.
be Guardian of Faith and Wall of Fire. Bob, you have thoughts about Wall of Fire, right?
Not really. We've talked about it several times recently, and I don't know, you talk me down and down further and further on it every time. And yeah, for pack magic, probably not.
There's a really interesting one though. So we already have one that we shouldn't take, which means Guardian of Faith is one you should consider. And here's the reason you should consider Guardian of Faith. It takes an action to cast, but it lasts 8 hours. And Warlocks get their spell slots back after 1 hour. Which means if you have 6 hours to kill and you want to make a death trap, you can just throw a bunch of Guardian of Faiths around.
Yeah.
And then it's just a bunch of 60 radiant damage waiting to hit things to enter a space. That's really cute. It's kind of novel. Is that powerful? No. But, 60 damage attached before the level Warlock spell, every once in a while you'll probably be fine casting that. I don't think you would follow to it that regularly, though. And if you wanted to try some Munchkin Turtley stuff, you could try resting 6 times and throwing a bunch of Guardian of Faiths down if that suits your fancy. The last two you get are Greater Resto and Flame Strike. Greater Resto on short rest is actually meaningful for upper level characters that want to remove exhaustion from things like Wish. So it's good to know that you have it. You probably don't want to take it until later. But again, Warlocks being that you only get 3 slots, you'll have more spells than you can cast. Sticking Greater Resto on there means that that niche deliverable moment, you'll go, oh, I have a solution to this problem. Greater Resto. And it's good there. Flame Strike is a entirely fine AoE 46 damage, radiant 46 fire. It's a worse fireball that hits a worse area. If you need a worse fireball, and you might, this will do the trick.
Well, I mean, you don't get fireball, so
yeah.
There's this.
And it's just I lose out on 2d6 damage because I'm a warlock, which that's sometimes how it be.
Yeah.
This entire spell list, though, none of it is entirely game warping. I think Revivify is interesting, but even so, not overtly super powerful. I still think this gives Warlocks a really neat direction, where a lot of the other ones give you new damage options, give you new, those kinds of things. Getting Revivify, Flaming Sphere, Guiding Bolt, Guardian of Faith, Flame Strike, Greater Resto, these all play into this full boxy, eclectic kind of, I can do a lot of different things, and I do them well enough that I can service using these short rest spell slots in a kind of interesting way. It makes the option, I think, very flexible, and I like flexible characters.
Sure. All right, well, what are our features here?
So we start bonus cantrips, you get Light and Sacred Frame for free. Huzzah! Okay, and then we get Healing Light. So first level, you gain the ability to channel celestial energy to heal wounds. You have a pool of D6s you spend to fuel this healing. The number equals your level plus 1. Sorry, your Warlock level plus 1. As a bonus action, you can heal a creature you can see within 60 feet, spending dice from the pool. The maximum number of dice you can spend at once equals your Charisma modifier. Roll the dice you spend, add them together, they regain that many hit points. You regain all these dice when you finish a long rest.
All right, so you got a flexibly powerful healing word.
Yeah, I would advocate 99% of the time spending 1 dice at a time, and that should be to get creatures off of 0.
Yeah.
There will be some windows where you'll be like, I got 10 dice. You need an extra, 12 to 24 hit points. All right, I'll save 3. Here's a big burst of healing for you. But for the most part, you'll just be like, oh, if anyone goes under, they're back up, and I'm Eldritch Blasting. Someone else goes under, they're back up, and I'm Eldritch Blasting. Oh, someone else goes down, they're back up, short bow shot, whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah.
You can just removing the need for the rest of your party to ever need to take any healing spells is kind of what this does. And it does a really efficient way that makes you feel good about playing a healer. You're not spending your actions on these things. You have more of them than you will ever need. So it is genuinely a great little healing feature that's going to make you feel like the party's healer without having you to work any extra hard for it. It is a great little effect. It's a ranged lay on hands is a good way to think of it. And a ranged lay on hands is really, really useful.
Yeah.
6th level, you get Radiant Soul. Starting at 6th level, your link to your Celestial allows you to serve as a conduit for Radiant Energy. You have resistance to Radiant damage. And whenever you cast a spell that deals Radiant or Fire damage, add your Charisma modifier to 1 Radiant or Fire damage roll of the spell against one of its targets.
All right, is this a feature?
Kind of, not really. It's +5 damage to radiant and fire damage spells, basically, is what this reads, to one of the
Yeah.
targets. So your guiding bolt hitting for 46 +5 is kind of like an auto upcast, right? Like you're kind of getting a sixth level, I guess it's closer to a 7th level guiding bolt for a 5th level spell slot, is kind of how it plays. Now, the problem is, you're not casting many of those. You're normally like a Warlock. You're normally casting things like Eldritch Blast. You're normally casting non-radiant or fire damaging spells, which definitely puts a big hamper on this. I don't know why this doesn't affect all of the damage of a spell does. Flame Strike getting +5 damage to it would make it closer to what a Fireball is. It doesn't. It affects one of the targets hit with it, so it's pretty bad.
Yeah, well, and resistance to radiant damage is very niche in the times it's going to come up.
Yeah, that's definitely correct. So this is the first really like bummer feature. Like, oh, I don't really want this if I don't have to take it. It's still not nothing. It's just not very good.
Yeah.
And I do like that it pushes you towards like a, hey, you should consider fire damage or radiant damage spells. Turns out radiant damage options are not particularly robust for Warlocks, and their spell list gives them one. So that's true. They get Flame Strike. That counts as 2. So like, does this work with Guardian of Faith? Hold on. It's roll, right? You have to roll the damage.
Yeah, it affects 1 damage roll. So Guardian of Faith, that you don't roll for that, right?
Correct. Bummer.
So no.
Yeah, maybe we're wrong. Twitter might say otherwise, but right now I don't think it works with Guardian of Faith. Neither does Bob. So commenters are gonna let me know if we're wrong. But yeah, Radiant Soul, lukewarm, bottom of the barrel, kind of like not unusable, but pretty mediocre feature. Celestial Resistance is our 10th level feature. Starting at 10th level, you gain temporary hit points whenever you finish a short or long rest. They equal your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. Additionally, choose out of 5 creatures you can see at the end of the rest. Those creatures each gain temporary hit points equal to half your level plus your Charisma modifier. This is really close to just Aid. And Aid is a spell that a lot of people say is pretty good. I don't think it's particularly riveting. That being said, you're playing this eclectic. A Warlock has got a lot of different things at their disposal to engage with the world with. This is, you have supportive options to get people up. This is team durability and your durability too. And it's a substantial amount of durability, especially for yourself. Adding your level plus charisma mod to your temporary hit points every time you finish a short or long rest is a large amount of extra hit points.
Does this stack with something like Aid?
Oh, Aid, yes. Aid doesn't give temporary hit points. Things that give temporary hit points like Fiendish Vigor, no.
What about what does Inspiring Leader do? Does that?
I think temporary hit points.
Yeah.
Let me double check. Inspiring Leader, you spend 10 minutes. Each creature gains temporary hit points equal to your level plus charisma modifier. So yes, does not stack with your Inspiring Leader either. It is. It does a similar effect to Inspiring Leader.
Right. And
but
that's
it's just
all right.
stable to feature. It's fine. I think for this kind of character, as a supportive Warlock, this is an entirely reasonable ability. I like that you get a big chunk and everyone else just gets some. It's gonna be fine. We end on Searing Vengeance. So starting at 14th level, the radiant energy you channel allows you to resist death. When you have to make a death saving throw at the start of your turn, you can instead spring back to your feet with a burst of radiant energy. You regain hit points equal to half your hit point maximum, and then you stand up if you choose. So each creature of your choice that is within 30 feet of you takes radiant damage equal to 2d8 plus your charisma modifier, and is blinded until the end of the current turn. Once you use this feature, you can't again until you finish a long rest.
So you're like a suicide bomber, except that you don't die.
Yeah.
This one's kind of cool. I'll give credit there.
It's one of those features that doesn't have any agency for you, though, right? Like, you have to die for this to do anything.
Yes, but I think that, like, you can't die. So it will encourage you to just, run in there willy-nilly and get yourself killed just to be able to use this.
2d8 radiant damage. And a blind that lasts this turn.
What, 2d8 radiant damage for each creature within 30 feet of you that you choose?
Yeah, each creature takes 2d8 radiant damage plus your charisma modifier.
Yes.
Fireball does 8d6 fire damage and happens 9 levels earlier than this.
All right. This is, this is just an extra thing you can do.
I think the meat of this,
stick it to somebody who stabs you.
I think the meat of this text is you regain hit points equal to half your hit point maximum.
Oh, that's
I think this is just
too.
You basically have an extra 50 hit points or whatever, stacking that on top of Celestial Resistance. You're looking at a character that actually is really durable. which really makes me think that there's some secret like blade builds that work with this as a frontline celestial warlock, where your objective is just to be dummy thick, where your objective is just, I am a warlock that has too many hit points. And like you can just even have moments where you go, great, attack twice with Thirsting Blade, I've taken 40 to 50 damage, I'll just eat half of my healing light right now to get back more HP, and then you just keep tanking hit after hit after hit. That is a cool little build I could see coming together with this, which is actually why I'm a lot higher on this than I think a lot of people are. There are lots of little cool directions this offers you to build towards that make me, it scratches my little brewer itch, where I want to make characters that do different things and have different fun angles. These abilities all come together to kind of give you a, should I be just stacking as many radiant and fire damage spells on my sheet as I can? Can I make a Sacred Flame build that's all around using this with a sorcerer? I quicken Sacred Flames, I'm getting the +5 damage plus the 2d6, and then I'm ignoring cover. There's some cool ideas there, even if they aren't like overtly super powerful. And this brings the whole thing together to be like, this is a fun new Warlock Toolbox expansion. Is it that powerful? No, this is probably a C. But it has a lot of neat little bells and whistles in it that add utility, that add flexibility, that give you different opportunities to express your Warlock how you want. To express a Warlock that does its own sort of avenue and lane of some sort of divinity with all of the flexibility that Warlock offers. I think that's worth something. I think that's a really solid option to consider. I have built and played and loved playing as Celestial Warlock.
Yeah, you've talked me up on it. I felt bad when I looked at all the crap expanded spells, but then, yeah, you're right that like it's one for each level, and the other ones are pretty good. The only feature I'm really disappointed with is Radiant Soul. The other stuff I think you can get a lot of use of. I'm really excited about Searing Vengeance. It's one of the few capstones I think is potentially fun enough for me to want to get there,
Even if it's not good.
even if it's not good. I think it's not nothing though. I mean, 2d8 plus your charisma modifier to multiple targets plus blinding. That's not nothing.
For right now. Next turn, they're no longer blinded. Like, not next round, next turn.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm back on my feet.
You are, and at half your max HP.
Yeah.
So if you have like tough on your sheet and you stack a bunch of other HP boons, you get a lot of HP.
Yep. Good times.
Yeah.
Gee, you gave it a C?
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly powerful. I do think you can have a lot of fun with it.
I'll go a notch higher. I'll give it a C plus. Which is great because I came in with kind of a bad attitude toward it. So well done.
I came in like, it's a fine option. It's not great. I think I might have talked it up more than it deserved at the beginning, but it's, yeah, you'll have a good time, I think, if you try this out.
All right. Well, what do you think about Celestial Warlock? Let us know down in the comments below. And yeah, like, subscribe. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sam, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.